There we go. Hi, hello, and
Nice.
welcome to one more session of Smartlead Office Hours, beautiful people. I'm Akash, your dedicated customer success manager here at Smartlead. For people who've been here already, you know we'd always want to start the session with the audience. So before we jump into today's session, take a moment to click on the chat icon at the center bottom of your screen and let us know where you're joining in from, how the weather is in your end, and also let us know if you're an agency, a freelancer, or a part of a SaaS company. And the meeting is being recorded, so we'll have it sent out on our Slack community and as well as our YouTube. So for those of you who join late or who need the recording, don't worry about it. But again, hit on the chat icon, drop on the comments where you're from, the temperature at your city, and if you're an agency, freelancer, or a part of a SaaS company. Marek gets a free smarts over the first one.
Perfect.
Family agency, SAS,
SAS,
Los Angeles,
Medellin. Finland, Omar.
Amsterdam, Pakistan, London, Barcelona, Dallas, Chicago,
A few SAS
Bengaluru.
companies.
Absolutely. I think we usually have a balance between SaaS companies and agencies, but it's interesting. Good morning
Yeah,
from Texas, beautiful 81 degrees. Welcome, CJ.
nice, Omar. Love it.
Love it. Global audience, as always. Keep it coming, ladies and gentlemen. But to talk about today's session, before I do that, a quick introduction about our guest for today, right? Noah Gill is the founder of LeadMoves, a cold email agency built on one-on-one personalization at scale. Over the years, he's helped a lot of startups, SaaS companies, and B2B agencies land 100K plus euros deals in a month at 38 new customers in 30 days. And what's insane is I just had a word with him about this. He's booked 5,000 demos in just 12 months, right? At LeadMoves, Noah blends data driven workflows with tools like Smartlead and Clay to prove that outbound can feel personal, relevant, and scalable at the same time. Why this session? Why it matters? Like I always say, outbound isn't about sending more emails. It's about building a system that consistently turns strangers into pipeline. In this session, Noah is going to share the frameworks, the workflows, and lessons learned that helped him and his team book 5,000 meetings in just 12 months. Noah, over to you, sir. A quick round of introduction, and the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you for that introduction, Akash. That's a really nice introduction. My name is Noah, and I'm the founder of LeadMoves.com, and we help B2B agencies all over the world book more sales meetings, all thanks to personalized outbound edge scale. And for today's session, I've done something spicy and something very, very valuable. The whole point of this presentation, which I've done for you guys, is I want you to implement this stuff today so you can book those 10 extra sales calls right after this call in the next 30 days. That is my goal for today. So I prepared a presentation for everybody. Let's see if I can just share my screen.
Absolutely. And while you do that, if in case you all want access to this presentation, we'll share it at the end of the session. So you have something to refer to and you have something to work on as well. And the screen is visible, Nova. Go for it.
You can see it?
Yep.
Perfect. So today we're going to talk about outbound that works. It will be some frameworks, workflows, and real results. And we will also cover the same system that I personally used to book 5,000 demos in the past 12 months for one client of ours only, specifically for a SaaS startup. So it will be super, super good and valuable stuff. We'll go over some case studies, the outbound problem, a few frameworks that actually work, some workflows, and real results and lessons learned. But before we jump into it, let's go over some case studies to show you guys what is actually possible with this system that I will go over today. So we helped Barter go from burning cash on social ads while they had limited control over the client acquisition to getting 1,000 booked sales meetings in the first 120 days with us. And this all resulted in 350 platform trials, all thanks to our outbound. And we also ran a similar approach for Ramdam, and they went from relying on referrals only and having no scalable lead gen in place to getting 42 meetings in just 30 days, which resulted in 38 new customers closed. And we even outsourced this completely for them. So in 1 month, they even got 38 new customers without taking a single sales call, which is pretty nice.
Right.
And we also worked with Propel Digital, and they went from relying only on referrals, and they actually even got burned by another lead gen agency. And in just 30 days, we managed to get them 32 qualified meetings, and they managed to close a deal worth 100,000 euros, all thanks to our AI-powered outbound at scale. And we also have lots of case study interviews right here. So for example, we worked with Future Digital. They got 97 sales calls in 60 days. Property One saw 30 leads in 30 days. First Page Digital got 63 sales calls in 60 days, and so on and so on. We're also certified, obviously Smartlead experts and partners. And we're also one of two Clay experts here in Sweden. So you'll find us on both Smartlead's page and also Clay's page. And here's also a screenshot of Boris' calendar where we got the 94 demos in 5 days. And it's pretty funny because I remember I posted on LinkedIn about this calendar screenshot like a few months ago, and people literally commented like, "No, that's not possible. That this has to be fake." I was like, "What the fuck?" So I
Okay.
posted this on LinkedIn, and people didn't even believe it, and they even said like, "This is inhuman. How can people even take these many meetings?" But yeah, we're not, because the client is still alive to this day, so no worries about that. But yeah, so let's talk about the common outbound problem that I see. So many are still stuck in 2022 thinking where you could simply just buy an Apollo list, write one generic email, send it to thousands of people, and somehow expect meetings. These were super, super good days, but those days are unfortunately gone. I miss those days really much because you could just buy a list, send whatever you would send your emails to this list, and still manage to book meetings. But it got saturated, and now that's no longer possible. So if you ask me, you really do need to personalize your emails. And if you're not doing it, you will need an insane amount of volume in place of generic emails to actually make it worth it. So if you ask me, personalized emails will always perform better, always. And if you do generic emails in high volume, first of all, it will cost you a lot more. Plus, you'll also damage your reputation because you're getting less replies, less positive replies, and of course, less meetings booked, obviously. Plus, prospects can also instantly tell if your emails was sent to thousands of others, and we do not want to do that. And if you have the energy to send one single cold email, in my opinion, you should have the energy to actually do it right, like actually do make it good, because we do not want to give the prospect a reason to, report us or just damage our reputation. Like we actually want to do it in a good way. And the core problem here is that most people write one cold email to an entire market. Like, think of it. People write one cold email to an entire market, and one market could be like a few 100,000 prospects, right? When you actually should be writing one cold email to just one prospect. Just imagine the difference. If you were to write one cold email to 100,000 people versus if you would just write one single cold email just to one person. And once you're able to write one cold email just to one person only, then you can automate that and then scale the system.
Understood.
So the whole point of this is to write one cold email to one prospect hundreds and then thousands of times per day once you can actually scale it. And why this matters is generic emails. If you're doing generic emails in high scale, you're competing with every other agency doing the exact same thing. And prospects can actually see through the mass templates. So that means your response rates suffer because there's no relevance in place. And you end up sending 25 times more emails for even worse results, which damages your reputation. And it's also very expensive for you as well. So the biggest pitfall here is thinking you can actually scale before you have a message that is actually matching your market. I'll talk more about this in a bit, but agencies simply rush to volume without proving their messaging works on a small scale first. So an example of bad scaling is you'd send 10,000 generic emails and hope something sticks. But how the correct way of doing it is you want to perfect your one-to-one approach and then systematically automate it.
Understood.
Which brings me to the next step. So frameworks that work. So what does actually work? We've covered the outbound problems, but what does actually work? So the difference between agencies booking 2 meetings per month and the ones booking 30 meetings per month all comes down to frameworks and not luck. So I have been using a framework called the 4T. Shout out to Josh Braun. He's a very good copywriter, and I've gotten a lot of inspiration from him. And this is basically like the backbone of our highest performing emails. So it pretty much looks like this. You have the trigger, which is also known as your opening line, the opener. And this should cover why you're reaching out to them specifically right now and why you're always, we're just reaching out to that single prospect and not multiple at once. So it could, for example, be that you saw that this person or this company just hired 3 SDRs last month, or that we just read their recent LinkedIn post about scaling challenges. But the whole point of it is just make it specific to them and not generic. The second T is known as the think and what problem are they likely experiencing. So this is like poke the bear question. And a poke the bear question is simply a question that is framed to make the prospect just think of their potential problem that they might have. Because basically your offer does not have a solution if they don't really have the problem. So you got to present the problem that they might have first and then continue on with your offer or your solution. So instead of saying like, hey, we can do outbound and book you some meetings, we could say, how are you keeping your calendar full without burning out your existing team? That actually makes them think. And after that line, we then want to present our solution. So a few examples of these could be, how are you currently finding upcoming restaurants before your competitors reach them? Or as mentioned, how are you keeping their calendars full without burning out your existing team? And the whole point of this is just to make them think about their current situation. So we have third part.
And before we go to the
Or,
third part, Noah, we have one question from
yeah.
David to kind of a quick recap for the question. So it was kind of not clear for him. So what kind of a question did you mention? Was it positive or positivity question? What was it?
Uh, what question?
Was it poke the bear? So no, in terms
Poke
of
yeah, yeah.
yeah, poke the bear question. So we want a
Yeah,
clarification on that. All good.
exactly. So it's called poke the bear, and it's a question that is simply just framed to making the prospect think about their potential problem that they might have. Because if you were to send an email saying like, "Hey John, we can do outbound for you," versus if you were to open your email with a question to actually make the prospect think about their potential problem that they might have,
Right.
your offer and your solution would have a much bigger impact to their current situation just because they get reminded of their potential problem that they might have,
Understood.
essentially, if that makes sense.
Understood. Thank you.
Of course. And a cold email won't really work if you don't have a case study in place or some type of third-party credibility. So you basically want to prove that this actually works without bragging about yourself, because this is pretty important and a big one, because everybody can talk good about themselves, right? You can say anybody in this entire world or anybody who's seeing this right now can say, we are the world's best SEO agency, we're the world's best cold outbound agency. But not everybody can actually prove how good their work is. So that's essentially why you want to reference case studies in your emails, because not everybody can say, hey, Barter booked over 1,000 demos in the first 4 months with our system. Not anybody can say like, hey, SEO doctor, they went from 2 meetings per month to 91 meetings and on 20 days using this approach. So you just want to reference case studies because the prospect believes your customers more than they believe you, essentially. And I'd also like to add in here that you want to use specific results from similar companies. So if you're reaching out to marketing agencies, for example, you want to reference a marketing agency case study because that makes the most sense. If you can't do that, I would just use like generic social proof and generic case studies. It doesn't really perform as good, but it just doesn't make sense to reference a marketing agency case study if you're reaching out to like e-commerce stores. And if you would do that, I would then like reference some more social proof and some like more generic case studies, such as like we have booked 6,000 demos the past year for clients, or something like that instead.
Understood.
The last T is the talk one. So this is simply a soft call to action, a low friction next step. A few good examples of these are, can I show you lead magnet? Think this might help. Just anything to make it as easy as possible for the prospect to reply to your email. Because you need to remember that this is a cold email that we're sending it to a prospect that we have never spoken with to before. So we actually need to make it as easy as possible for them to respond to our email, because essentially they don't owe us anything, right? So which also brings me to another thing. Like when people ask or send me a cold email and they straight up just ask me for 30 minutes of my time, like it's almost like I get offended. Like, who are you to ask for 30 minutes of my time? It's almost like disrespectful to just straight up just ask for somebody's time without framing it in a valuable way. So imagine this: if you were gotten a cold email and somebody said like, "Hey John, we can do X, Y, and Z. How is Thursday for a 30-minute chat?" Versus if they would have told you, "Can I show you how we got this company X results?" Or "Can I show you how we would do XYZ for you," essentially. So I just want to make it as easy as possible for the prospect to reply to your emails. And if for any reason you must ask for a meeting in your cold email, I would at least frame it in a very valuable way. So instead of asking straight up for 30 minutes of their time, I would just say, "Hey John, can I show you how we got X company results in a quick 30-minute chat?" Or like, can I show you this in a quick call? I can show you how we got this result, or how in a quick call I can show you how we got this audit of your blah blah blah, for example. So a full email could look something like this. So I caught a glimpse of your post about hiring 3 new SDRs. So this is the think, or the trigger, I mean, the opener. The second T is the think. So how are you planning to keep them busy without your current team spending all day prospecting to make the prospect think? Third body, the case studies and social proof. SEO doctor, they went from 2 to 30 meetings monthly by handling their entire prospecting process. Can I send you the playbook we used? So this cold email right here would probably perform pretty good, I think, just because it has all these 4 T's in it, and just a soft call to action. It has good social proof, good trigger, and it's just easy to reply to, basically.
Understood.
And so I don't know why not many people at all are not talking about this, because this has to be like one of the biggest reasons why your cold email campaigns either flop or actually perform incredibly well. And it's basically market awareness and market sophistication levels and the message sophistication. And so your outbound messaging, it should be a direct reflection of your market's awareness and sophistication level. And outbound is the best at letting you know how good your offer actually is. So you need to match your offer with the market that you're actually reaching out to. So if you have a look at this picture right here, the level one of these different market types is that level one, it's a birth of market. You can just make like any claim essentially. So let's say you sell SEO and you would just pitch SEO to the first market that has never ever seen anything like SEO. It would be super, super to get meetings booked, obviously. And level two, here you start to get a few competitors, so you need to make the claim bigger than your competition. So for example, I who sell cold email lead gen, I might say I can get you 10 calls per month, but if my competitors start saying we can get you 11 meetings, then I have to like improve my own offer and say, okay, we can actually get you 15 meetings per month. And level three, you need to introduce a mechanism that offers a logical reason why your claim is achievable. So, for example, once the market has seen we can get you 50 meetings every single month for way too long, it starts getting like saturated. Then you have to explain like why you can get that result. So, for example, hey John, we can get you 15 meetings per month by using our AI personalized Clay workflows with our like AI inbox manager, stuff like that. You just need to like spice it up to show your market why you're actually better than your competitors. Level four is pretty similar to level three. Here, just need to create a better mechanism or an upgraded version of the previous mechanism. So like an AI inbox manager is pretty new. So that would be something in my case. And level five, B2B companies rarely get to this stage, I would say. But this picture just showcases the importance of actually framing your messaging according to your market. So it's a direct mirror reflecting on your entire business, your cold outbound campaigns. So it's your offer, your
Right.
case studies, the market, your ICP, even your landing page, and also even your sales funnel. And the rule here is like the less sophisticated market you're reaching out to, the more simpler message you should have, because there's no way to actually advance a thing if it's not really needed, essentially. Other way around, for more sophisticated markets, you need a more nuanced or more advanced approach, basically.
Understood.
So a few examples of low sophistication markets could be property managers, local businesses, traditional industries. And okay, I want to put like these words in a cold email, but just to get the point, you could say something like, do you want 20% more customers this month? I would frame it a bit differently, but you get the point. And the main thing is that it's so simplified. It's nothing spicy to it. It's just so simple as humanly possible, which is the correct way of doing it, because you don't need to advance things if it's not needed. So it's a direct problem and a direct solution. And a few examples of high sophistication markets could be SaaSEOs, marketing directors, marketing agencies, e-commerce. All of these are getting 10 emails daily with your exact offer. Like for every discovery call I have, they always say that they receive like 10 emails daily from my competitors.
Understood.
And if you're reaching out to high sophisticated markets, it's for sure hard to get results, but it's for sure still possible. But then you just need to keep in mind that you actually need to do some more insight-driven and strategic messaging in your cold emails. So instead of saying like, "Hey John, do you want 20% more customers this month?" You should say something like, how are you planning to hit your pipeline targets when lead costs keep rising? So this is personalized because we know that lead costs keep rising, and it's also a good think question. So the poke the bear question to just make them think. And sometimes it's pretty funny because sometimes these shorter emails, like a 30-word email, can actually outperform a 40 email. So uh, two examples of how this could look like is, hey John, no worries if not, but can I send you lead magnet? And a lead magnet, if you don't know what a lead magnet is, it's basically something of value that you are able to provide the lead upfront without any cost at all. So if we go back to our call to action section before, it's a big difference saying, can I get 30 minutes of your time on Thursday, John, versus saying, can I send you over on how we got this company this results? Or can I book you 10 sales meetings for free? It's so much easier to just say yes. And that's the whole point of an email, to just spark a conversation going. Or, John, would you like to show your brand in front of manufacturers dealing with shipping delays? All these are worth testing. So don't just write 140 email. I would also try doing a very short, straight to the point email because that can actually outperform the 4T framework in some cases. And of course, the other way around as well.
Understood. And one quick question then, Noah, right? So this is from Ashwin.
Yeah.
While trying to personalize emails, how would you handle leads who don't have any LinkedIn activity or even a profile on LinkedIn?
Good question. So I would think of how or why you're actually reaching out to the prospect. So if your offer is, if let's say you're selling SEO, for example, instead of just getting a lead list and then just saying something very generic in your email, you should have a think of why you're actually reaching out to this prospect and, for example, why you would reach out to this prospect like manually. So, for example, for an SEO offer, it could be that you're reaching out to this specific company just because they have a bad Google page speed, for example, or if they have a bad, like just bad website in general, or like just like a slow one. Um, that's generally speaking how I find a opening line. But I mean, it all depends on the offer and how you actually found the company. And if you're struggling to come up with a personalized opener, you could always scrape information from their website, like case studies, recent company news, uh, mentioned their like Q3 reports, saw about their like hiring roles. But generally speaking, I think most companies are on LinkedIn, at least like these bigger ones. And if you're emailing smaller companies that aren't on LinkedIn, I'm assuming that you're reaching out to like these local industries, and these are at the low sophistication level, as we talked about right here. So in some cases, you might not even need to personalize it, to be honest, if that makes sense.
Understood. So it's more of, in case you want activities, you have the website, but if not, you don't need it. You have the offer, you have the pain point, you have other things to address. Can we see that, Noah?
Yeah, I think that sounds fair. Like it all comes down to your offer, why you're reaching out to this specific company, and then just trying to automate that and doing it in scale. So yeah.
Understood. And the next question is from Johanna. Love the information, but I receive these kind of emails every day. So what can we really do different to stand out?
Good question. I think what you could do differently to stand out is come up with creative ways to get a lead list. So sometimes getting a lead list from Google Maps would do it. Sometimes getting a lead list from the e-commerce platform Store Leads would be good. Just try to be like unique in terms of your list building and also enriching your lead list as well. So even though you might get a lead list from Apollo, just make sure that you're actually enriching it and just like narrowing it down to score your leads and qualify the leads to make sure that you're actually writing to the right person and also that you actually find a good reason to reach out to your prospect because that's like what it's all about, cold emails, to just write a valuable message that might solve their potential problem that they might have. I think that's SEO example that I mentioned is a pretty good one because I will actually show an example later in the next slide. But we simply just found every company who is having a slow like Google page speed, and then we reference that in our email saying that we can help them with their site essentially. So I think in general, you would just need to be like creative and test different things. There's no real answer on what works and what not because it's all up to your offer and your market, of course. So I would say test different structures, try different opening lines, different value proposition, different offers, different enrichment, different AI messaging. Try writing some short copy, try doing some charming copy. So I'd say it's all down to testing. Just test everything, I'd say.
Understood. Thank you for that, Nova. And before we carry on, just one last question. In terms of, we spoke about the copy as to how you'd want to structure and message, But in terms of subject lines, have you seen something work specifically, or do you have any recommendations for that?
Oh, subject lines. It was a while ago I talked about subject lines. So my how I like to think about subject lines is do not spend much time at all thinking about your subject line. Because you first of all, you don't want to track your open rates because that just damages your deliverability even further. But I would simply stick to something very simple, and you almost just want to have a subject line that looks like it came from a colleague. So it should just be like boring. It should not be increase your sales by 1,000% or something like that. It should never be something silly. The whole reason or the whole purpose of your subject line is to just sell the email. We just want to make them curious enough to open up your email. So I would just stick to something short and not long at all. I'd say keep it at like less than 4 words maybe. So for example, it could be uh, your page speed, open to this, John, thoughts, John. It should just be like boring, I'd say, if that makes sense.
Understood. Thank you, Noah. Over to you.
Nice. So let's talk about personalization at scale. Because many think personalization means saying like, "Hi John, I saw you work at company," or "Hope you're having a great day in city." But when real personalization means, "I caught in your Q3 report that your customer acquisition costs increased by 34%," or "Saw you're hiring for growth marketing. Job description mentioned improving funnel conversion." The secret here is that you want to use AI for research, but humans for strategy. So it's almost like a puzzle. You want to use AI to find different data points that you then like craft together into a puzzle that then crafts your message, if that makes sense. So you want to use AI to find the data points that then you use to like prompt AI and to write a good cold email. So you first need to know how you would actually write one single cold email to one single person. And then once you have a workflow allowing you to do this in scale, then you scale the system and then you automate it basically. So implementation, I would start with the 4T framework, try a few different opening lines, a few different value props, a few different offers, a few different angles, and also I would of course test these like shorter emails as well. Master it with a few hundred emails. Just test like everything. Test what sophistication levels your market might be at. Try talking advanced, try to not talk advanced, and just see what actually resonates with your market.
Awesome. And one last question before we go to the workflow deep dive. Noah from Ben, what is the best way to reach out? Like we can easily find email data from any platform, but we have difficulties to find a decision maker email and how we start the email body. Any recommendations for that from your end?
I think it all comes down to your offer and your solution, and also like why you're reaching out to this specific person. Could you maybe drop your offer in the chat? That might be helpful.
I'm sorry, Noah. What was that? I was responding to a chat.
It would be good if he could maybe drop his offer in the chat, and then we can, because generally speaking, it's all up to your offer. So it's specific and tailored for each solution. There's no like one size fits all.
Understood. And while Ben does that, we have a question from Richard as well. What would you say about follow-up email copy frameworks versus opening emails?
Good question. So this also depends on how big your market is. For example, generally speaking, I like to have I like to have like 2 to 3 follow-ups. So in total, like 4 or 3 to 4 step sequence.
Mhm.
I don't want to have many follow-ups at all for one simple reason, which is you get the most amount of leads from email one. And so once you see it that way, it does not make any sense to have many follow-ups at all. So for example, we have this client where we started off with, I think we started off with like 3 to 4 follow-ups, but now we have such a big market to actually reach out to. So we're not even having a follow-up in place. We're just doing like email once. But generally speaking, the follow-up should be framed in a valuable way to just make sure that you're reaching out to the same prospect again with some value bumps, I'd say. You just want to, you don't want to say anything generic or boring, such as like, "I hope this email finds you well." Just reaching out with a few different value props. For example, in maybe you could reach out with another value prop. So in your email one, if you had one specific value proposition or your offer, and they still didn't respond to your email one, you should try framing your offer in another way for email three and see if that makes any difference and see if they would respond to that. And then you can also use that market feedback to adjust your messaging. So if you see that most of your replies are coming from, let's say, email three, you could just push email three into email one because you're mostly reaching out to new leads, right? So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Understood. And one more question from Eli. Do you recommend following up always on the same thread or sending a different email and a different subject line, maybe on the third touch?
If you're doing like a four-step sequence, I'd agree, I'd say. Because I know Eric Nowoslowski said this in a very good way. Like, if somebody hasn't email for the fourth time and then reply, so I would start a new thread on email three. Um, but yeah, so maybe that, but then I again like I wouldn't have more than four follow-ups. And if you have a big market, I would just have like one or two follow-ups.
Understood. And Ben has also gotten back. What is the best way to reach out? Like we can easily find the email data from platform easily, but we have difficulties to find a decision maker. So it's basically a B2B product, AI agent to help customers. A PetroSure AI agent, complex data, clear decisions. Turn overwhelming geochemical reports into actionable insights with the power of AI. This is like the core offering. Noah.
Okay. Where is his ICP located? Because it sounds like his ICP might be located on LinkedIn. Because it sounds like that is the traditional like uh, offer that you resell to local businesses. And it's an issue to find like emails of traditional local industries. That is pretty, can be pretty tough. But I think LinkedIn, getting it from contact details from LinkedIn should do it for you. You could set up multiple different tools to find each lead's email address, also their phone numbers if you need that. But I mean, in worst case scenario, you can just reach out to generic email addresses. We're actually doing that for it, or for Barter actually for a client where we are reaching out to e-commerce stores where we are directly emailing their generic stores, which is working pretty good. But I think for your offer, it sounds like that data should be available on LinkedIn, and then you could probably just enrich it using like Apollo, Better Contact, Prospeo, or something like that.
Understood. And last two questions. I know it's a lot of questions, but last two ones for you. One is from Joanna. When you use a personalization trigger like a LinkedIn post or news on a lead's website, how do you make sure that at scale it actually ties into the email offer naturally instead of feeling random or forced?
That's a pretty good question, actually. If you're doing such personalized opening lines, it might also make sense to tailor your value proposition for each prospect. And okay, I think this section would actually answer that question because I'm going to show you a workflow where we essentially framed our body of the email according to our opening line. So each prospect had a very, very tailored and personalized value prop specific for them only. So I think you need to, if you personalize each opening line, like you mentioned, it sounds like you might have to personalize the value proposition and the rest of the emails as well, if that makes sense.
Understood. Last question from Joey. We'll have the follow up questions later. For personalization, how can we get the data of how many years they have been at their job? It's on Sales Navigator, but not in Apollo.
You can do that pretty easily inside of Clay, where you can find, you can just scrape their LinkedIn, or you could even do like a filter inside of Clay to just see like, okay, they started at this exact date, and they, you can see like okay, they started their job title 3 months ago, and then like it's pretty easily to set up in Clay. So I think Clay would be the answer to that. And you can also do list building inside of Clay. So you could, for example, find prospects who have been in the role for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and so on. But I think Clay would do it for you.
Awesome. Go for it, sir.
Perfect. So, okay, let's talk about workflows. So, a deep dive into workflows. So, first of all, I'm gonna overwhelm you guys with this picture. This is a pretty advanced and pretty annoying workflow we built for one of our clients, but it really does not have to be this advanced because if you're reaching out to, again, like a less sophisticated market, you can just say something very simple. But in some cases, you actually do need to have a pretty advanced structure in place to reach out with something valuable to actually get a response from your market. And this is a pretty good example. So this offer was for a client who sold an AI software engineer. It was incredibly tough to get this client results just because of the tough market that we reach out to, because these guys get emails every single day. And if we go back like 3 years, how we would do this for this client would be we would scrape a list from Apollo with no enrichment and then send a generic, simple message, something like, "Hey John, I know you're the CEO of company. Hope you're having a great day. I wanted to reach out because we offer cutting-edge AI software engineering solutions that can help businesses like yours leverage artificial intelligence to optimize operations and drive growth. Our AI engineers are top-tier developers who can build custom solutions to meet your unique needs. We've helped many companies implement AI successfully and would love to discuss how we can help you too. Would you be available for a 50-minute call this week to explore how AI can transform your business?" I would not have responded to that email. I'm not sure about you guys, but I would not reply to that email. So what we
You know
did
what?
for this client,
Once you're done
yeah.
with this, if you can just give us a zoom in version of the workflow, that will also be helpful because I think it's not very visible for a lot of them. But again, once you're done with this, you can just give us a view of that, and that would be helpful.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like I barely see anything myself. It's just too advanced and too much to show you guys. So I'm just gonna explain what this actually is. But in most cases, you don't need to do this advanced Clay workflows, but this just shows you like what is actually possible of how you can personalize your emails. But anyway, so yeah, I would not have replied to one of these emails. But the new way of how we did this, we set up a workflow finding each SaaS pain point. So we reached out to decision makers of SaaS companies. And so we set up a workflow that found each SaaS pain points directly mentioned from their customers on their G2 page by scraping their negative reviews. And then we used these negative reviews inside of our emails and tailored our solution as solving that exact problem. So instead of saying something like this to our market, we could say, and this is a really live example of the email that we actually sent. So, "Hey John, saw some acquire app users on G2 mentioning they love better notification system. Seems like a common challenge in your space. Curious, how are you ensuring customers don't switch over to competitors because of the notification system? We built X, an AI engineer that works 24/7 for 80% less than having a junior engineer that can eliminate notification issues completely, so your customers stop mentioning it in reviews while the competitors still struggle with it. No worse if not, but open to trying it out." Why this email is much, much better than the previous email is because we have essentially directly found pain points that their customers are mentioning on their G2 page that we then frame our offer to solve that exact solution. So if some other prospect in our entire lead list would have another bad review about X problems, we would frame our offer here depending on their top negative reviews that they're essentially getting. So this is essentially the new way of doing the email. So don't send an email looking like this. Just try to write one single cold email to one single person and then set up a system for it. Again, you don't need to go this advanced. This was super painful to actually set up. But yeah, in most cases, this isn't really necessary. And sometimes simplicity can actually do the work itself.
Understood.
Here's another good example. I also talked about this before, I believe. But here we've found active pain points for an SEO client. So if I zoom in on this, we essentially found their typical customers that we then can reference in our emails. So we can use that data to see like, okay, this company works with this target audience right here. So we then can use as data points to, prompt AI to write our AI messaging right here. So we could then use that for our poke the bear questions right here.
Mhm.
And then we also wrote tailored subject lines. Here's a good example of subject lines. So for this client, our subject lines were, it depends on the company that we are reaching out to in this case, but we're simply saying your products of what they're selling. So it could be your solutions, your AI solutions regarding your hoses, regarding your spa, regarding your shirts, etc., etc. And then we also normalized each company names. In some cases, when you just export a lead list, you could have weird signs in the company name, such as looked like somebody drew on the screen. But by removing different like weird signs, so like LLC ink and stuff like that, just to make the company names look human written, just as a human would have written the company essentially. And then where the cool part kicks in is we scraped each company's Google page speed. So we can see, okay, their page speed is 7.2 seconds. This company has 5.4, 10.4, 18.7, and so on. And we can then use this as data points to qualify our leads to see, okay, do they actually fit our criteria as to why we actually want to reach out to this specific company or person? And then we also could see, okay, they have this performance score. And we can also use that for the same thing as to score the leads and also qualify to make sure, okay, does this company actually have a performance score less than 80? If so, let's push them to our Smartlead campaigns, and then we could reach out to them.
Right.
And then we could also mention this in our emails, like, hey, now we saw you have a 10 performance score.
Understood.
And yeah, we can also scrape their keywords, which is pretty relevant if you're selling SEO. So we got their SEO keywords right here that we then could mention in our opening lines that we did over here, and also a nice call to action. And then we just simply push this to Smartlead over here. And how this looks in the output is, and using this workflow, instead of saying, "Hi, John, please let us do SEO for you," we can now say, "Hey, John, I caught a glimpse of your Google page speed, and it seems like you have 55 out of 100 performance on the right track." The reason for having this on the right track is you never want to insult or talk down on the prospect, because that's like the worst way to start off an email. So you never really want to sit there trash at their whatever they're doing. You actually want to make it frame it in a positive way. So on the right track, for example. And we can also say, hey, John, I made a quick AI search of the best cybersecurity, but I couldn't find you, even though you're great at intelligent security. Just to frame it in a good, like, positive way, basically.
Understood. Sick.
Perfect. So some real results and lessons learned. So here is a screenshot of our sending statistics for client Border, where we have generated them 11,600 leads just in 11 months. And here are two of our campaigns run for Border. We're getting 11.6% reply rate and a 35% positive reply rate. So for these two campaigns, we generated Border 979 leads just from two campaigns. And here's also a monthly report we sent to them, because we send daily, weekly, even monthly updates to all of our clients. And we generated them 1978 leads in just 30 days.
Wow.
Pretty nice.
Sick.
And here we filtered for 1 month, and we got them 439 meetings booked for Border in just 30 days. And here are two angles we tested where we got a 91.67% positive reply rate. And I know that the industry average of the reply rates and the positive reply rates is like a 1 to 2% reply rate, maybe, and positive reply rate would be 15 to 20%. So a 91% positive reply rate is pretty good. And yeah, that means basically that 9 out of 10 who replied are actually interested in our
Yep.
offer.
True.
And there's also a Slack channel we set up for Border of them just getting notified of interested leads. So all of these are just leads generated, essentially. And here's also an internal campaign we run for ourselves. So this isn't just something we just talk about or just do for clients. This is what we're actively running for ourselves. So here, it's a campaign we're actively running for our own B2B cold email lead gen offer, and we have got ourselves 636 leads. And after helping clients book 6,000 meetings this year so far, here are my three fundamental truths that I would say determine everything. So,
This is what we
truth
need.
number one.
This is what
Yeah.
we need.
So, the first truth is outbound results are a reflection of your entire business. So, when your cold email campaigns fail, it's rarely about the emails. It's a direct mirror showing you problems with your offer. Okay, so is your offer actually valuable? It's your offer or your market, I mean. Do you actually understand the market, what they actually want, what their pain points are, what their desires are, etc., etc. Your positioning, so are you actually relevant? And your messaging, are you framing your offer in the correct way to your market? Do you need to speak more advanced? Do you need to speak more in a simple way to your market? Bad outbound results equals business problems you haven't faced yet. Great outbound results proof your business fundamentals are solid. If you're getting good outbound results, it's meaning that you probably have pretty decent case studies in place, pretty decent social proof, some case studies, and you also know who you're writing to, essentially. Truth number two, and I don't know why, again, like people don't really talk about this as much as it should be spoken about. Because your messaging must match your market's awareness level. Because if not, you won't see any results at all, I'd say. So if we target a sophisticated market that are getting blasted with your offer every single day, you need to frame your offer in an insight-driven and strategic messaging way. All the way around, if you're reaching out to an unsophisticated market like local traditional businesses, it would be enough with a simple and direct copy, essentially. And if you get this wrong, nothing else matters. So the best infrastructure, the perfect personalization, amazing offers even, none of this will work if your message sophistication does not match your market. So do make sure that you're actually framing your email to your market sophistication levels.
Understood.
So truth number three, all the questions are answered by testing. Stop overthinking. Stop asking, what if this does not work? Or should I try this approach? Just test it. Do not overthink it. Do not think for 7 days in a row, like, okay, should I do this? Like, just test it. The people who are crushing outbound, they test these ideas that pop up in their mind every single day as soon as possible. So send 300 emails, see what happens. If it fails, just adjust it, test again. People barely A/B test. And for one client, we literally A to Q tested, which is pretty much. Your market will tell you what works faster and more accurately than any expert advice or theoretical framework. So I'd say don't listen too much on what others think. Like you should simply just test whatever you have in your mind. Outbound is not only about tactics and tools, it's about having a real solution to your market and what they actually want, and understanding their sophistication level and testing your way to see what actually works. And everything else, in my opinion, is just noise. And now let's go on to the live Q&A. So ask me your questions and I'll personally answer them right here and right now.
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you for that, Noah. And the floor is open for questions. So all you have to do is click on the React option at the center bottom of your screen, raise your hand, turn on your spotlight, and we'll turn on your video and we'll spotlight you. You can shoot your questions directly to Noah. So again, React on the center bottom, you'll have an option called raise hand. Click on that, turn on your video, and we'll spotlight you. In the meantime, I'll pick up a few questions from the chat as well, Noah. So one question is from, let me scroll all the way back. What sort of outbound structure do you suggest for a new offer and a new brand? Brackets, cash is not an issue. What sort of infrastructure would you suggest? Leads, domains, accounts, testing, personalization to ramp up to booking consistent meetings for an accounting AI offer?
Oh, good question. So I'd say in terms of like copy, like that is so tailored for each offer and your market and your case studies and even social proof. It's pretty hard to answer that specific question without knowing more about your offer. But in terms of like deliverability, I would say currently I'm actually avoiding custom SMTP accounts. What we usually do for ourselves and what is working pretty good is doing a 50-50 split. So we're doing some Google accounts and also some Outlook accounts. And we usually, of course, never ever turn off your warm up. So make sure you warm up your accounts every single day. We start descending on day 14 after we have successfully warmed up the domains and email accounts. Make sure you have a good email. Try to make it as easy as possible for a prospect to reply positively. Do not send any images in your emails. Do not send any links, like just no HTML stuff, just plain text.
Understood. We have a hand raised. Paul, adding you to Spotlight, sir. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I have a question for
Hey,
you.
Paul.
Hey, how are you? Great presentation. Does
Thank you.
LeadMoves scrape data from LinkedIn?
So we're not a tool, so we don't like directly scrape it from LinkedIn, but we buy lists who come from LinkedIn. For example, Apollo, if that makes sense.
Okay. So I don't know where the like the legality of this comes. Our company, we hired a lead gen agency that I'm guessing is probably not too different than yours. They use system they use Smartlead, they use Apollo, they use Clay and N8N, and they have this whole elaborate automation system that apparently part of that system is scraping leads, and our leadership is just terrified that we are going to get in trouble because of what they're
Yeah.
doing. And I'm curious if like what your company does to avoid those types of pitfalls, because maybe I get rid of this company and
Yeah.
hire yours instead.
That is a pretty solid question, actually. So we've also had a few clients who are like worried about a bit worried about like GDPR, like is this fully legal and so on. So first things first, we at least I'm not too sure like how your lead gen agency actually works, but we at LeadMoves we buy lists from GDPR compliant platforms and software. So for example, Apollo is GDPR compliant. And in terms of like emails that you're actually writing and sending to your market, like I know that some countries are very, very strict in terms of like the legal things. So for example, Germany I know is pretty strict. I know the cold emails is like straight up illegal in Denmark, but so in those cases you could add like just like an unsubscribe link to your email. Although I kind of do want to avoid sending links. So if I would want to have one of those like rows inside of our emails, I would just say like, PS, just let me know if you don't want to receive an email from me and I'll just remove you from our list, something like that. So, but like, yeah, I've sent emails for, I don't know, 4 years or so, and I've never gotten an issue for ourselves or for clients. So, generally speaking, you should be pretty fine with your current lead gen agency, if that makes sense. Oh, I see that you're muted.
Yep.
Uh, okay, so you sounds like you mentioned two different things. You mentioned the cold email aspect, which we're fine there. But it's the scraping. You're thinking that if they're using Apollo and then getting, they're likely not scraping it directly from LinkedIn, so it's not likely not an issue.
Exactly. So, like, if your lead gen agency is using Apollo, you should be fine because they're GDPR compliant. And I mean, they've been around for years, so it's fully legal. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, they're using Apify to get the data from Apollo.
I see. Yeah, that's still legal though, since they are scraping information that Apollo has. So even though if they would have directly have an Apollo account and get the lead list, it would sort of be like the same thing.
Okay, so they're scraping it from Apollo. They're not scraping it from LinkedIn, so it doesn't violate LinkedIn's terms of service. And Apollo, I guess, knows that happens, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so that's how Apollo works. Like I'm not sure how their process works specifically, but they probably scrape LinkedIn somehow because all of their data information and contact info is from LinkedIn.
Everybody's scraping it from everybody. As long as nobody's getting caught scraping it from LinkedIn, then everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for the
Yeah,
information.
of course, happy to help.
Hey guys, thank you for letting me be here.
Hello.
Hey Noah. So Noah, I have one question for you. So I just recently started running cold emails to my market. So what I really do is I sell um, intelligence service to the ultra wealthy, like marital intelligence service to the ultra wealthy, like the very, very rich. Okay. So I'm using cold emails to get in touch with people they are already working with, like private family offices, people like that, like multi offices, private family offices, and people like that. Okay. So my question is that I've been running campaigns for like 10 days, 10, 15 days. And so far, I think the replies and everything, because not all the sequences have gone out. So I'm not really complaining about that. What I really want to understand from you is that how do I understand if my messaging is right and the targeting, the lead list is something that I need to work on, or if the lead list is fine and it's messages that I need to work on? Like, how do you, uh,
Yeah. That is a pretty good question. So, I mean, if you're getting a bad lead list, that would sort of, you'd see it first of all in your bounce rate. So do make sure you also verify your emails. But I'd say like if you're getting a decent lead list, and if you're getting like I know that the industry standard is like one lead per 350 email sent. That is also a good metric to go by. If you're getting one lead for less than 350 email sent, I think you are already doing pretty good. If you're getting one lead per, let's say, 600 emails, I try to tweak it a bit to see what actually sticks and what not to your market and see what they actually resonate. But I mean, it all depends on, and about your leaders question, I think it's all down to testing. So I don't know if you could have another lead database for your specific offer in your market. If you can, like just test. But if your market is only active on LinkedIn, I'd say it doesn't really matter where you get your lead list. But for example, I have a client where we are reaching out to like local e-commerce stores, and for them, we are comparing getting lead lists from store leads and Apollo to just compare what actually sticks. But I mean, if your ICP is just on LinkedIn, it doesn't really matter where you get that lead list from. And yeah, then I'll probably just stick to Apollo. But yeah, I think if you're getting like one lead for every 350 email cents, you're doing decent at least, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about the message? Like, what do you consider, like, when you say testing, what do you really mean by, like, what are the standard metrics that you look at, and what are the standards that make you say that this is a good campaign, or this is the messages are converting well, or the leads are converting well?
I'd say use the feedback that you're getting in your replies. So, for example, if you're not sure what to actually test and what not, I would collect market feedback by doing research, not only through your sales calls, but also using the not interested replies to your advantage. So, for example, for each not interested reply that you're receiving, you could ask them for feedback because we actually get a lot of replies just from the not interested ones by simply just asking for like just you can just say like, hey, strictly for market feedback, can I just ask you why you're not interested, and et cetera, et cetera. And most of the time, like some people will actually respond and they would say, oh, we're not interested because we already have this in place, or we currently have another solution for this. We use this, this, and this. And based on what they're telling you, you can use that information to then frame your offer in a different way and also frame your copy in another way to see, okay, now I have actually adjusted my messaging according to what the market actually says. I know what they want. I know what they're currently doing. Now you can use that information to tell your copy to just improve your overall stats.
Got it. And one last question. I just looked there. How many leads minimum, like how many messages would you send, uh, like as a minimum to test a campaign before you come to any conclusion about it?
I usually test 300 emails per variant. So, for example, if you've sent 300 emails for one variant, and it's gotten like 0 replies, I will create another variant, see how that performs. If we got one reply, oh, that's better. Let's try another variant and see if that makes things better or worse, and then I'll take it from there. But generally speaking, I do like 300 emails per variant. I'd say you don't want to waste too many leads on a variant. So I'd say if you test with like 1,000 leads, that's too much, and you're burning through your market that way. So I would say like 300, not less, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And for
Awesome.
300 leads, like how much would be the reply rate, like on an average? Because it's just too small, right? 300 is like a very small compared to what I've heard about cold emails. Like people are uh, they're going like 10K, burning through 10K leads a month or something. So this is very,
Yeah, yeah, if you're testing different variants to see what actually resonates with your market, I wouldn't send 10,000 leads on one single variant. It sounds like they probably have 10,000 leads in their overall campaign, and then inside of the campaign, I'm assuming they have multiple different variants that they are testing. But if you're just testing different variants, I would say test between 300 to 500 email sent per variant and
okay.
see what works the best and the scale what works.
Okay. And about the reply rate?
I mean, yeah, it's tailored for, or it depends on your offer and your market and your ICP. So it depends on a lot of different things. But I think like the industry standard, I would say at least is 1 to 2%. And if you're above 2%, you're probably doing pretty good, I'd say. Of
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I just had these questions.
Awesome. Thank
course.
you,
Happy
Divya.
to help.
Anna also has some recommendations for you in the chat if you want to check it out. But
Uh,
Noah, if you can also drop the deck, because some people are on queue to leave. So if you can drop the deck on the
Yeah,
chat, that would be really, really helpful.
of course. Let's see.
In the meantime, let me quickly add Jay to the spotlight. Folks, in consideration of time, if we can just stick to one question, that would allow all of us to kind
There we
of
go.
ask questions. Jay, quickly unmuting you, sir.
Great, thank you. Really interesting concept about getting the enrichment. And I'm just wondering, because I'm a CFO and my services are very much around confidential numbers and things, scraping for G2 and things like that is just not going to work. So I was just wondering, what strategy would you recommend for someone like me?
Good question. Why would that not work?
People aren't going to say, hey, your profit sucks, and I'm going to, put confidential numbers like that out on Google or anything. But I want to target
Yeah,
those sorts of companies.
I see. So you can't really mention numbers in the same way as a reference for like the G2, it sounds like. So in those cases, I would try to think of another way of having like a trigger or a good reason to actually reaching out to your market. Could be that they are hiring for somebody that they want to like solve your specific solution that you have in place. Or you could also say reference things on their website, because sometimes I know myself that it can be pretty hard to find a good trigger for and a reason to actually reach out to this specific prospect. And sometimes you can scrape their website to see, okay, this company actually does this. They worked with these companies and so on, for example. So you can also reference those type of things if you can't mention those like specific numbers, which I understand that might not be possible. So maybe for you, you could reference maybe LinkedIn post that might be tricky because that's not always the most scalable way. But you could for sure scrape their website. You could scrape the web for company news, for example. So if you could see if this company has just gotten this investment or something, you could mention that in your emails. Otherwise, you could say like, "Oh, hey John, I saw you worked with this company" or something like that.
Okay, okay. And just very quickly about the previous lady that you just mentioned, doing batches of 300. Okay. Let's say
Yeah.
you test a batch of 300. Is there like a sort of a cooling off period that you recommend before you kind of reuse that 300, if you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, so we usually recycle leads after 3 months.
Three
So
months.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, 3 months since we last contacted them, I'd say. Then we can re-contact them again.
Okay, excellent. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Nice. Happy to help.
There we go. Spotlighting the next person, Sanjay Swaroop. There you go, sir. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi there. So we are fairly new to Smart Leads. Got the whole stack and everything. And so one of the things, because we've got 250 emails with all different domains and stuff like that. So if you send simple emails without any links, without anything, right, and short messages to sophisticated B2B kind of prospects. Is that enough? I mean, will that lead to positive answers, or they will just think that this is kind of junk? So,
Do you mean specifically with your volume? You mentioned like 250 accounts.
sorry, no. So we have bought 250 emails, 25, 50
Oh,
domains or something like that. Yes.
I see.
So so
So
we
you're
are trying to send about 20, 30 per email, address a day. So. But the short message, because the domain names are different, for with most of the emails, and it doesn't correlate with our website address, domain. So a recipient, might think that the message is kind of junk, right? What's the experience?
I'd say that the name of the domains don't matter too much. And of course, the more emails you send, the faster you can test and the faster you can adjust your messaging. And then, of course, scale what actually works. So if you're sending like 250 emails a day, that might be a bit low, in my opinion. For example, for new clients we onboard, we usually start sending at least 800 emails per day. But in terms of your like the domain names and stuff like that, we haven't really seen a pattern that really impacts your campaign results or not. And so your domain names should also be forwarded to your main domain. They probably already are. So even though if they are looking up your outbound domain, they should still end up at your main website, your main company.
So this thing about short messages without any links, without anything, how does it feel like to a recipient, you know?
I mean, prospects don't really like getting links sent to them because if somebody just sent a random link to me, I wouldn't open it. And that's also why most prospects just end up in spam because they're sending links. And that's also how people hide different viruses in their emails, thanks to, hidden images and links and so on. So if you want to have like a decent open rate, you should really avoid sending links and images. And if you really have something important that you would like to send over, I would frame it in the call to action. So would you mind if I send over this link? Or would you mind if I showed you how X works, for example, and then send it over?
Yeah, so just to add on to Jay's kind of question, you know, so what I've developed is a free business health analyzer, you know, but I could say the call to action that would you like me to send you a free business health analyzer, you know, so that or something like that, you know, which is kind of
Yeah,
free. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, exactly. So I would try to send it over once they have actually replied, because then it's pretty safe to send over images and links. So as long as you're not sending it over in the first email, then you're fine,
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
of course.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Perfect.
Last question for the day. Quickly spotlighting Roman. Give me a quick minute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yep, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, boss.
Yes. Hey, Roman.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, thanks for the presentation. Yeah,
Of
so
course,
I
thank you.
got a quick question about like how you currently work with like Outlook spam filters. Because we like last few months we get some troubles, like we should like only plain text without like any links, without of course open tracking, just a plain text. But after running some spam tests, we see like we land almost like 100% in the spam for the Outlook. So how you work with that?
First of all, like as soon as your domains get burned, I would say I would just buy new accounts. I wouldn't spend too much time just waiting for them to actually get any good. So as soon as that happens, which is pretty natural in terms of the outbound game, you just got to be like prepared for it. So yeah, first of all, I would be pretty quick on replacing the domains and getting just new email accounts. And in general, in terms of Outlook, I know Outlook is super, super annoying. They've always been very annoying in the outbound space. But what has been working pretty decent for us at least is sending we send maximum 5 emails per day per account. We have a pretty unique system in place where we basically have like 49 email accounts per domain. It's a very unique approach, it really is. But so generally speaking, we recommend doing like low volume per account for Outlook, short copy, and without any links, without any images and stuff like that. And just keep on the warm up for every single day. And yeah, that should do it at least.
Okay, thanks. And have you matched the email processor like Outlook to Outlook, Google to Google, or something like that?
Oh yeah, good one. So we usually do Outlook to Outlook and Google to Google by now.
Okay, thanks. That's all from me.
Perfect. Nice. Oh, I see that you're muted, Akash.
Multiple times. I see a lot of questions on the chat. We're not taking no more questions, but let me know if you're in for this, which is let's do a rapid fire, right? Let's cap it to 5 minutes. I'll kind of ask every questions from the chat possible in the next 5 minutes. If you're able to answer that, we'll cover the most we can. Would that be okay?
Of course. Yes, sounds good.
Lovely. Thank you, Umar. Take care, boss. See you on the next one. Perfect. Let me scroll all the way to the top. All right. So I start from here. How you currently work with spam filters in Outlook? How are you getting through that?
Yeah, so of course you can't really have 100% open rate, obviously. That would be the dream. But I would say what I just told that other guy. So we're sending like really low volume to Outlook. We're doing Outlook to Outlook only. We are having to warm up on every single day, doing low volume, plain text, no images, no links, short copy, and that that's pretty much it. And just be fast to replace your domains and email accounts. Like, don't make it impact your day-to-day life too much. At least, like, just replace them if that,
Understood.
if they get burned.
Understood. How about signature, physical address, and unsubscribe links following Google guidelines and can spam?
I mean, we haven't really noticed anything. We've never gotten any trouble by just tracking the signature. Sometimes it actually might make sense to even spend tag signature, but that's for another day. But we haven't really noticed any specific pattern that some emails perform better or worse depending on your signature. We keep it pretty simple actually. Like for some clients, we might have their address in it, but for some other clients, we just have like kind regards, name, title, company, and that's pretty much it.
Understood.
Simple.
Understood. And Noah, could you please tell me why avoiding SMTP? What's better with Gmail and Exchange/Outlook?
Yeah, so with in terms of SMTP accounts, I've been okay. So first of all, I've been having pretty good results with SMTP a while ago, but the thing that I have seen with the SMTP accounts is that they work pretty good for like a few weeks and not many weeks at all. I've been using a provider and we had pretty good results for like 1 week, and then everything just dropped. We went from like 100% warm up health to like 60% warm up health after like 1 to 2 weeks. And in terms of quality, like Google and Microsoft just have the best quality. Um, but SMTP providers, they oftentimes have pretty fast delivery. So you could probably get your accounts up running like after 1 minute of buying the actual accounts. But yeah, we're just seeing that the quality really drops super, super fast. So we just try to stick to Google and Outlook. Yeah.
Understood. How to find good actors in Apify?
Ooh, that's a good specific question. How to find good actors? I mean, I just choose the one that has the most used ones. So if I see one that I try one as well. So for example, if I see that one has like 1,000 users that have tried it, and one has like 10, I go for the one with 1,000, obviously. And if that doesn't work, then I just try to go with another one. But I don't really have a strict structure to find a good API actor. I just test, I'd say.
Awesome. Next one is from Jason. Hi, my market is very contracted with long running, in many case, strong relationships. What approach would you suggest via email and LinkedIn to try and get a connection/response in order to start a conversation?
Okay, so what I would do in order to get a response and spark a conversation.
Yes. What do you
Um,
think would be the right approach?
could probably run a multi-channel approach for sure. There's nothing wrong with that. You could connect with them on LinkedIn, then shoot them an email. Could do the other way around by shooting them an email and then connect with them on LinkedIn and then send them a message there as well. You can also do so, you can send an email, and once you've actually gotten a positive reply from that specific lead, you can then connect with them on LinkedIn and so on. But generally speaking, I'd say if you just follow this presentation and the guidelines on like writing good copy, I think that will set you for a good start to spark some good conversations.
Awesome. What's your daily email limit on Outlook and Gmail, including warm up? How many actual emails are you sending? Plus, how many warm up emails are you sending?
So we usually do the warm up limit. We multiply the daily limit times two in total. So for example, if you send 15 emails a day for our Google accounts, we send 15 warm up emails per day. So same thing, if we send like 20 emails per day, we send 20 warm up emails per day and so on. Warm up for 2 weeks and then increase gradually. So do not start sending like 25 emails a day already on day 14. We usually start at like, I'd say probably 10, 12, and then you could gradually increase the volume by time, I'd say, by like two every day or so would be safe.
Understood. Understood. And this question is for you, Noah. On average, how many emails are you sending for clients? Super curious on the daily volume for your 5,000 demo case study.
Good question. So for that client, we started okay, so for all of our clients, we always start sending at least like 800 emails per day to actually get those quick results in for our clients. But for that specific client, we saw so good traction so quick. So nothing really stopped us from not scaling. So we went from like 800 emails per day to like 3,000 emails per day to 6,000 emails per day to 9,000 emails a day even. But then they got like some capacity issues. So we are now sending 3,000 emails a day for them. So probably in general, if you look at these 12 months that we've been working with the client, I think in general, we're probably sending around, yeah, like 3,000 emails a day or so, I'd say.
Understood. Understood. What are the best tool combinations that you suggest with Smartlead as the campaign pivot to get the best response rates?
Oh, that's a good thing about Smartlead because you can basically connect Smartlead to any tool out there. Like we have connected it with HeyReach, Airtable, Slack, Clay, our whole operating system. So, I mean, it all depends on your offer and what you would like to say in your emails. But I mean, I never go a day without Smartlead and Clay. So I'd say Clay is my go-to. But I mean, it all depends on how you would like your campaign structure to look like, I'd say.
Understood. How to find SME data? LinkedIn does not meet my ideal customers, brick and mortar or say businesses on GMB. And personal inboxes, that is consent and data. What SMTP and what platform would you recommend? Was the question clear? Do you want me to repeat?
So yeah, in terms of if you want to get in touch with like brick and mortar companies, you could probably scrape local businesses with that. So you could probably scrape like Google Maps, I'd say. And what was the other question with the
Right. So I think this was personal inboxes, that is consented data, comma, what SMTP and what platform. I think Abdullah, it's a little confusing, sir. If you're here, if you can kind of paraphrase it for us, would be more than happy to answer that. But moving on to the next one, Noah. Thanks for the presentation, excellent one. Have you tried webinar approach, like send cold emails to invite them to register for a webinar? If yes, what was the response rate?
Oh, good question. So we have actually done this for one client. We usually don't do it. We have seen that it might get a few responses and some people to show up to the webinar. It might work good in like more sophisticated markets, but it's pretty hard to answer because at the same time they might just respond even more if you just have like a simple message. So I haven't done it too much, to be honest with you. We have done it a little bit, but I think we got like some signups, not too much. And then once we switched to call to action to just seeing if they were interested, that actually performed better. So generally speaking, we usually don't invite people to webinars, but you could for sure do it. You could just test it.
Understood. And how many emails sent per day from a Gmail account?
Max 25. So we
Understood.
start with like 10 and then like slowly, gradually increase. Max 25, I'd say. That's pretty high.
Perfect. And we're at the end of it. Can you give an overview of your 300 email test workflow? What automations were you using?
Yeah, it all depends on how you would like your copy to look like. But I test different value props, different offers to see what actually resonates the most with the prospect. And like since we are like a certified Clay expert, we use Clay every single day to just adjust our messaging and use AI to personalize it. So we do a lot of testing inside of Clay to just write our messaging as well. I just try like different pain points as well, I'd say. Like for some variants, we might test going for more personalized approach. Sometimes we might try just a simple like one-liners. Sometimes we might do the 4T framework and so on. So yeah, I'd say that's it. But we need to know at first like how we would like our copy to look like, and then we can take it from there, which we usually do in Clay.
Understood. And do you have a favorite inbox provider, Noah?
I had up until now, I would say. I had a really good like go-to, but they have not been that good lately. So I am on the look for a new provider. I think I know which one I'm going to use, but yeah, we'll see.
I think that's enough. I think that's enough.
Yeah, I think so too.
Awesome. And which tool do you use to answer so many emails by connecting Smartlead with API? Sonia has not found any.
I have built my own AI agent that is handling the inbox.
There we go. There we go.
So for some clients, we automatically respond to them and automatically update the lead category and Smartlead automatically push to the CRM and so on and so on. We built them custom for most of our clients, so they don't really need to touch their inbox at all. And for some clients, they want to have like this full control over their inbox. And for those ones, they get the ability to like approve the message or deny it. But in a simple way, we have an own in-house built AI agent that is handling the inbox for our clients, which is pretty simplified for them. So,
Sick,
yeah.
sick. Are you sending emails on the weekend by any chance?
Depends on the industry. So for ourselves, we're actually doing it because we can still get some responses at least on the weekend from like decision makers of like B2B agencies. But for example, if you're reaching out to e-commerce stores, for example, they have closed, I think, during the weekend. So we are not really reaching out to them in the weekend. But if you're selling to like B2B decision makers that are active on LinkedIn, I think you could for sure do it, depending on the size of your market as well. If your emails would, of course, perform a little bit worse if you're selling on the weekends. But I mean, if you have a big enough time to actually do it, then for sure do it.
Understood. How quickly do you reply to a response and how do you do so?
The AI inbox manager within 1 to 2 minutes.
Awesome. And last question for the day from Anna. Smartly doesn't recognize or find DKM in inbox. Is it okay to run a campaign anyway? Is it a must or not a problem?
I mean, I would say for sure you should set it up because I remember if we go back like 3 years ago, or 3, 4 years ago, even when I started with cold outbound at first, I skipped that part and I got like a 20% open rate. So I would actually for sure recommend to actually make sure that you have set up like DMARC, DKIM, and all those things in place because that way you would naturally almost get like a 70 to 80% open rate. So I highly recommend it. But yeah, just make sure they have it in place. I don't know if Smartlead is just like bugging or if that's actually real or not. But if you have it set up, that would really, really increase your campaign performance. I would actually make sure that you have it covered, yes.
Absolutely. And in case if something is not working for you, Anna, always reach out to us. We're there to help you out and sort it out for you. But Noah, on our attempt to answer every questions, we extended by a few minutes, but we were successful. We answered everything, sir. So before we conclude, anything from your end?
I think that was it. It was super nice to be here today, showing my presentation that I cooked up for every single one of you. I really hope you found something valuable from it and that you're actually able to book a few extra sales meetings from it. If you do, please feel free to write me a DM on LinkedIn or just shoot me an email, and I would be happy to know how everything went afterwards. But yeah, it was super, super nice being here today, and it's a pleasure to talk to every single one of you. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to
Absolutely.
be here.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking the time, Noah. First of many sessions. Simple,
Of course.
solid, practical, and actionable action items that you gave us. Thank you for that. Grateful for that. We'll see you on the next session. Thank you all for taking the time. And as I always say, 3 consistent things in life: death, taxes, and office hours every Thursday. See you all on the next one. Ciao. Bye bye.
Bye bye.